Hey guys, this is Tyrrell, Soul Having a Human Experience, and this is your public service announcement to relax. Now, I know that it can be really, really scary out there at the moment as more and more people start to awaken. There is almost, and I think a lot of spiritual teachers have spoken about this, a sudden velocity, but I wouldn't say I'd noticed the appearance of people awakening in quite the same way as over the last sort of month or so. And it has kind of gone hand in hand with a lot that's been going on in America and in Gaza and a lot of those types of events. I can only speak from my experience. I awoke in 2014, and instead of paying attention, I drowned that in, let's say, maladaptive coping mechanisms. And so for a really long time, I was kind of under the relative safety of no obvious societal displacement as such. There were things going on, and of course a lot of my experience went through lockdown and all of that kind of that shift, but I was able in kind of relative safety to choose to pay attention to my awakening or to ignore it. And so when you suddenly start to realize that the government doesn't always have your best interests at heart, that the mechanisms in place for society aren't working quite in the way in which they should to support communities and to support vulnerable minorities of all types. When you start to realize a lot of that, it can be quite terrifying, and in some ways I was very lucky. I used to live much more outside of the system, and I knew about myself that I didn't fit in with a lot of the societal norms out there from an early age. So I struggled in 9 to 5s. I often would kind of like whinge at friends and family about what I thought were perceived inconsistencies. But when you suddenly feel sort of what I think is happening is people are being spiritually ejected out of their perceived sense of normalcy into something that's kind of otherworldly, there is a propensity, or I can see a propensity for people to panic about the truths of this world.